everyone, and welcome to Biochat. Today we have us here today is Mr. Ee Beng. He's from Genashtim Sdn Bhd, a bee market builder for the ESG agenda in Southeast Asia and for Bee Corporation. So maybe we could start off a little bit by asking a few questions to Mr. Ben. What is B Corp exactly, and what's the purpose? Why B, not A?
Thank you so much. First of all, thanks so much, Bioeconomy and Joe. I'm very, very privileged to be featured in this talk. And I think before I start, we just want to disclose that though I don't look like one, I'm actually visually impaired. I can't see Joe carefully. I can only see less than 20%. Yeah. So maybe I will start with Genashtim, the companies that I'm working with. Genashtim is actually a social enterprise created by our founder, Mr. Thomas, in 2008 for one single mission, which is to provide job opportunities for the marginalized community. Not just any job opportunities, but a dignified, sustainable, and gainful job opportunities for this community. And of course, when we start, we are only very simple. We just want to help the marginalized community without thinking about ESG and all that kind of thing. You know? I mean, ESG back then wasn't even a very popular, trendy thing. This is like 2008.
Okay.
Yeah. So as we go through, we are being interviewed by some professors and also some other people, looking at our business model and say that, hey, you're actually doing sustainable thing, especially on the social impact, and you should consider something like a B Corp certification. That is the first introduction and first exposure on B Corp, So of course, we as a company, we operate 100% virtual because we want to allow many people to work from their safe and comfort of their own home. Because we have, like for myself, I'm visually impaired, but we have some friends who are bed bound and all that.
Oh, okay.
Right? So they have to work virtually, and of course, we produce different kind of services online. We start with e-learning, later on digitalization, and the latest is the ESG services. Now back to the story of B Corp. So in 2015, we decided that we give it a try, and immediately we get certified.
Okay.
And in fact, we are the second in Southeast Asia to be certified as a B Corp.
Wow, second.
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, actually, how many B corporations are there globally, and how many are there in Southeast Asia?
So globally, we have about 9,000.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
okay.
about 9,000. And given that this is a volunteered certification scheme, so 9,000 is actually quite a big figure.
I see.
There is no compulsory, there is no compliance and all that, but people just willingly, going for. And in fact, the acceleration is actually during the COVID. Now, in the first 14 years, when B Lab is started, we only have about total of 4,000. But in the past 14 months, we raised another 4,000. And of course, today we are now at 9,000 already.
Okay.
Yeah. But in Southeast Asia alone, we are still relatively new in this region, in the new market. We have more than 100.
Okay.
Which 50 are from Singapore, which our partner manage, and also the remaining 62 from the rest of Southeast Asia, where we manage.
I see.
Yeah, but we are increasingly getting more and more traction on the larger entities. Just to demonstrate the magnitude, out of the total revenue for the 62 companies, the total collective annual revenue is about 3.5 billion USD. Yeah, and so I would say that we see more and more companies want to come into B Corp because they want to demonstrate that they are complying with the ESG and also appealing to global markets, aside from also getting the attention from the investors and bankers.
Okay, I see.
Because this is the compliance.
So if I understand it correctly, a certified B corporation essentially is a company that complies with ESG standards and requirements. Is this correct? Or
Correct.
Maybe you can explain a bit more?
Correct. Maybe I would dive a little bit deeper, into what actually the B Corp means. And back to your earlier question, why not A is a B thing, right? Yeah. Now, first of all, for Malaysian, B Corp is not the Berjaya Corporation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. People always shout from the Berjaya Corporation is B Corp. No, yeah. B Corp is actually the B letter stands for benefits. Benefits for everybody, every stakeholders. So we are a champion of what we call the stakeholder capitalism, where a business exists need to meet the needs of all your stakeholders. These are not external stakeholders like your investors, whatever, your clients, consumers, planets, but also internal stakeholders like your workers, your supply chain, and everything.
I see.
So what actually a B Corp stands for is that company that has meet high and verified social and environmental standards.
Okay.
Then that is what we call a certified B Corp company.
I see. So it's not just limited to save electricity, switch off the light.
No, it's way beyond that.
Okay,
we look
more
at
comprehensive.
We look at companies' operation, your policies, your governance, your worker practices. How you treat your communities, which include the supply chain. How you also look at your customers, how your product benefits them. So basically the 5 areas are governance, workers, environment, community, customers. And of course, under all these things, we have all the subsets. So in our industry, we call all these subsets the materiality topics.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
And in terms of its comparison, because now ESG is a really hot topic. A lot of companies, they need to comply with this in order to participate in global supply chain.
You're right.
How does a B Corp certification compare to other standards or other certifications?
Yeah, this is a very good question, because I think there is a term coined called the alphabet soup of ESG. I always tell my fellow colleagues and friends the soup that make you drunk. Right? There's a lot of acronyms, people confuse, and people will start calling me and ask, I have ISO certification, I have GRI, I comply with GRI, I'm actually having a fair trade certification, so why should I have B Corp, So it actually, at one point, we ourselves, we don't know. So we actually dive very deep, we run through, we study a lot, and eventually we come back with a simplified explanation with a system, we call it a 3-bucket system.
Okay.
Right? By the way, this haven't been thoroughly researched, but through the current, what they call simplified research that we have done, we thought this 3-bucket system explains and compares the different alphabet soups out there. So there are essentially 3, since it's 3-bucket system. First is what we call the guidelines. Now, guideline is actually the biggest chunk in the ever-confusing alphabet soup. Now, what guidelines essentially provide is a set of standards or frameworks for you to look at what ESG is all about, right? This could be authoritative instruments like the OECD guidelines, the ILO Declaration of Human Rights, UN Declaration of Human Rights, the 17 United Nations goals, the Sustainability Development Goals, even for some that is more robust, which is in the area of reporting, like GRI reporting system, like the ISSB, the IFRS S1 and S2 standards, and also the EU ESRS standard, the European Sustainability Reporting Standards, that is currently endorsed by the European Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directives, the CSRD. Right, but essentially this is a guideline to tell you how you should look at your sustainability practices, right? For the more popular one is actually on the reporting side, because reporting is like more on the compliance. Bursa have their reporting compliance and all that. So in EU is the ESRS, GRI is the oldest one, and ISSB is the one that currently consolidated a lot of these different frameworks and standards together. But again, these guidelines and standards are for companies to adopt and use for whatever purpose they want to, they intend to.
I see.
Then these are very good when it comes to the know-how for people to look at things, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, for reporting standards in particular, they teach you where you should look at, what you should report, because otherwise you report everything, what you should report, right? How you should approach on your report, what you should consider and all that, right? They provide you a very robust framework for you to look at it.
Right.
Now, if let's say you have a sustainability report complying with certain standards, right, and you say that you are sustainability, you perform well in sustainability, that is actually a bit dangerous, because guideline essentially provide you the know-how, but it doesn't tell you where you are and all that.
I see.
And with that, you need to move to the rest of the buckets, which I will need to go through. Now, the second bucket the system recap is the guideline. The second one is actually the index or ratings.
Index and ratings.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So index and ratings is actually catered more for the investors.
I see. Right.
So for example, if you are an investor who would like to invest in a company that really manage their company well, at the same time looking at ESG risk, then you go for rating. Now, rating players will be something like, the MSCI rating, Dow Jones Sustainability Index, S&P Global 500, Sustainalytics, IRIS Index.
Yes.
So all of these, they offer kind of measurement to tell you that, company have a score, and the higher the score, technically speaking, the better the company manage their ESG risk lah.
I see. I see.
So which means that the lower your risk, your money, your ROI return, right? Yeah.
I see.
So that is essentially what it tells. Now, but the problem is a lot of people equate high ESG index score with high ESG performance.
Oh, it's not necessarily...
Yeah, it's not necessarily the relationship. Because you see, for index, ultimately, the benchmark is typically they measure the risk, right, on the investment. The target audience is actually the investors, right? So as long as I manage the parameters well, the ESG risk well, I will get a high score.
Okay. Right.
And that's why you will see some companies like, Philip Morris, British tobacco companies sitting on the top of the rating, right? Though they are selling tobacco companies.
And I see.
But they are managing their ESG well, Yeah. But I have to make a disclaimer here that, by all means, there are some companies that score high in the index are actually real companies that are doing good.
Okay.
But essentially, we can't use the lens to say that you are scoring high in index, you are automatically qualified to be
it's just one aspect.
Yeah, one aspect.
I see. Okay, right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So that's the second on the index. Now the third one is actually what we call the certification.
Okay.
Now certification.
I think a lot of people are interested how to get that certification, right?
Correct. Correct. Now certification is a lot of them, right? In fact, through our internal research, the database that we have in BLab, more than 400.
400?
Yes, it's crazy. It's crazy. There's a lot of them. Yeah. So now, why there's so much of certification? Because technically, certification focus on certain niche, right? It could be a product certification. It could be a system certification. It could be an industry-based certification.
I see.
Yeah. So, for example, let's say in ISO definition, ISO 11065, if I'm not mistaken, they define companies that offer certification divided into three types. The product certification, system certification, or service-based certification.
I see.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you look at product certification, we are talking about, cradle-to-cradle product, cradle-to-cradle certification for companies that has a product that has proven, have a very, very good life cycle assessment, circular economy basically, C2C.
Sure. Yeah.
And then we have something like fair trade for, crops and also the procurement, And then we have like certified organic for organic plants, organic fruits, organic vegetables.
Yeah, sure.
We have the Leaping Bunny for no animal testing product again. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then we have
So
Energy
many.
Star. Yeah, we have Energy Star for electric appliance that save energy. Now industry we have like MSBO for palm oil, LEED certification for building.
Indeed.
Yeah, LEED. Yeah, the LEED certification for building. And then we have a couple more on the industry niche lah. Okay, and system certification would be like ISO 14001, the EMS, Environmental Management System, and also etc.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can observe that typically what they have is like they create the standards on the niche, be it a product or be it a framework or whatever, and then they have a third-party process to come in and verify your company performance against the benchmark standards. And if you pass the standards, you get a seal of approval, and that seal is a form of certification. Yeah.
Okay.
Then the bigger question back is then where B Corp stands here.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
How does B Corp certification actually compare to all these different types of certifications out there,
Yeah,
right?
precisely. So B Corp, technically speaking, is actually a certification catered for business operation. We look at companies' overall operation, how they treat their customers, how they treat their what they call suppliers, how they treat their workers, how they treat their customers, how they look at the environment, how they steward their boards, in terms of mitigating the risk of for example bribery, money laundering and all that. So
governance matters,
governance matters.
Okay.
So we look at the entire spectrum of the ESG.
Oh,
now,
right.
Obviously, me from B Corp, I have to say that this is by far the only certification that covers so comprehensively and
yeah, it
the
does
best,
sound, yes.
in terms of looking at this lah. But we are not specialized in anything. We still depend on some other certification as well to substantiate your claim. For example, if you claim that you have very good environmental practices, in terms of you have a system in place to measure your carbon emission, to monitor your energy usage, to look at your water usage, and also waste reduction. Then if you have, for example, ISO 14001 EMS, then you actually enhance your score in your impact assessment. Because fundamentally, B Corp, we look at everything. And if you have certification to substantiate your sub-practices, we acknowledge that and we will honor that in our certification.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we are about to run out of time, so maybe I'll just give one last question to this.
Yeah.
What are the benefits of B Corp? And understanding that B Corp is so comprehensive, is it a very costly certification process?
Yes. So B Corp certification is actually good for pretty much companies who want to demonstrate themselves to be a credible force in sustainability. They are serious in sustainability practices.
I see.
And of course, being a sustainable company and being a trustworthy one, you got access to at least 4 of these benefits. One is actually your access to customers.
Okay.
Nowadays, customers are a little bit more conscious about things.
So market access.
Yeah, market access and all that. Not
Okay,
just
right.
not B2C, but also B2B procurement.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah, okay.
Being, now EU has more laws on there, so procurement will be a little bit more on the sustainable side.
I see.
Second is access to finance, because more financial officers will evaluate your credits, based on ESG criteria.
Indeed.
Third is on the compliance. We have more and more policies and rules. EU is the one that's championing and active in this. If you don't go ahead with the ESG compliance, then maybe end up you can't make business there. And then of course the last one is talent.
I see.
Talent pool, right? So the substantial evidence, empirical evidence showing that good business is actually the one that taking care of their customers, taking care of their employees, and as a result, they have a long retention rate and boost up in terms of the performance. Now, in terms of the pricing, B Corp actually use a tiering system based on your revenue. So the higher your revenue, the higher the certification fee.
I see.
So we would encourage you to, if you're interested in the B Corp certification, check out our B Corp website. It's B Market Builder, bmbsea.org. And you can click the price scheme for the Southeast Asia region.
Yes. And also more information about the B Corp certification in the same website.
Correct. And now also we have a grant that is available for people to claim for B Corp. This is a domestic investment development fund developed by and stewarded by MIDA. It's actually reimbursement grant. So if companies interested to avail B Corp, there will be a 50% or 70% reimbursement based on your organization type. Yeah, you can contact us to know more about this.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Ben. Thank you for sharing with us about B Corp, about ESG, and how this benefits companies, especially SMEs and also the bio-based companies.
My pleasure.
All right, thank you so much.